This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good morning, Tuscaloosa. Good morning, Tuscaloosa, Internet world, West Alabama. How we doing today on a Monday? It's the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com. We're hanging out here on the Bama Central YouTube channel, on the Bama Central Facebook page. You're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. We appreciate everybody subscribing, rating, reviewing the program. We appreciate Derek Daniel, State Farm Insurance, for sponsoring the show. You can call Derek for all of your insurance needs at 205-758-3391. Like a good neighbor, Derek Daniel is there. Call and see how much he can save you today. Or you can check out our other friends at Purple Turtle Roofing for all of your roofing needs, residential or commercial roofing. Purple Turtle Roofing can take care of you, giving you the peace of mind that you deserve in your home. Check them out online at roofturtle.com or call them at 877-787-6635 today for your free roof inspection. Make sure that you've got the peace of mind that you deserve in your home. We are going to have a lot of fun today with our friend Theo Fernandez. You follow him at Theo Fernandez _ on the Twitter machine, writing all things Alabama athletics for us at BamaCentral.com, and currently working the World Cup for Fox Sports out there on the West Coast. Theo, we are now into the knockout stages. You have survived. Good morning. How are you? And Canada moves on. Is the South African defender throwing the game, heading the ball right to the Canadian attacker for him to pop it in the back of the net at the end of the game? Canada moves on and South Africa goes home. Good morning. How are you?
Doing good. 0-for-1 in my World Cup knockout bracket, but, I've picked against the Canadians every single round, and I will continue to do so. I'm doing great, though. Great day over here, so I'm excited to get at it.
We are going to get into a couple of very brief topics today. It's not going to be a hugely long episode today. We are going to talk about Osani Gayles, the wide receiver that committed to Alabama on Saturday. And we're going to go back to Friday's episode and talk about Jeremiah Beverly. Jeremiah Beverly committed at the very end of the show yesterday on Friday. And so we're actually got some time to look at his tape and kind of formulate an opinion on Jeremiah Beverly. So we're going to talk about both of those commits. We're going to take that into a larger conversation of recruiting, as Alabama is now 50th according to 24/7, and we're basically going to call it right about there. It's kind of a slower point in the summer, and I'm not going to force any conversations, so that's kind of what is on the docket today. But first, let's look at the World Cup games that are starting today, the knockout rounds. So you got Brazil and Japan at noon, Germany and Paraguay at 3:30, and the Netherlands at 8 o'clock. All of them on Big Boy Fox Network, so you can watch it right there on your local packages. I'm taking Brazil, but I think it's going to be tougher than than many people think. I think Brazil wins, probably extra time for Brazil. Germany will win easily, and Netherlands and Morocco. What a great game that's going to be. Morocco World Cup semifinalists the last time. I'm going to go Netherlands, but I think it's going to probably be a penalty shootout.
Yeah, these Brazil-Japan games, if anything crazy happens, we have a massive story on our hands. I think that Japan's looked solid, but I think Brazil and Germany both win pretty handily. Look, Netherlands-Morocco is must-see TV. You sit in front of your television at 8 o'clock Central today and watch that game, because it's probably the best overall matchup of this round of 32. I've got Morocco winning in PKs. I think we get our first penalty shootout of the tournament. I think we're in for a very fun day of soccer.
What does penalty kicks do to the guy that cuts up the highlights?
We are going to cross that bridge when we get there. I'm not cutting highlights for any of this stuff today, so maybe it's been talked about more with some of the people higher up in the batting order. But
all right.
Like, penalties instantly just become the most exciting part. You don't really need to watch any really highlights of the early game. I want to sit down and watch that penalty shootout. So definitely changes things a lot. I love PKs, though. I think they're awesome.
Yeah, I mean, as much of a man in the arena situation as you're ever going to get, as one man walks from the 50-yard line all the way to the penalty box to face another man standing alone in the goal. I just think it's high drama, the pinnacle of drama. So we'll see what happens with the 3 World Cup games today as we move through the first round of the knockout stages. USA playing on Wednesday, so everybody getting ready for a big USA game. It's going to be Wednesday evening for that, and we'll talk about that when we get there on Wednesday. But Theo, let's jump into the Bama side of things. We want to talk about Osani Gayles and Jeremiah Beverly, and I did write the LSU early opponent preview, and since I had a couple conversations about early opponent preview with Katie and Hunter, I do want to talk about one aspect of the LSU Tigers that it didn't really click with me until I started writing the preview this week. So we'll move into that after we talk about the recruits. But first, it's Osani Gayles. Osani Gayles becomes Alabama's next big time recruit, committing to Alabama on Saturday and giving the Crimson Tide finally a second 4-star recruit joining Trent Seaborn. You got Elijah Haven as the only 5-star, and now Osani Gayles and Trent Seaborn are the 4-stars. You got 13 commits in the class. Osani Gayles, 5'11", 185 out of IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida, and he's out there for IMG, and let's see, caught 20 passes for basically 500 yards, 492, and 5 touchdowns. He also had 5 rushes for 70 yards and 1 touchdown. This is in 9 games with IMG last year. So 9 games, that's basically 25 touches for about 560 all-purpose yards and 6 touchdowns. And you put your tape on, Theo, and I see a fast son of a gun. But what I love most about his tape is the last minute and a half. The last minute and a half are just a bunch of blocking highlights. He's out there on the edge. He's stock blocking. He's staying in front of guys. And boy, when you think about the problems in the Alabama run game last year, I mean, Isaiah Horton, I don't think that he blocked anything at all. So good luck with that, Texas A&M. We'll see how that goes for you. But a wide receiver who likes to block, it doesn't need to be the first thing that you do. It doesn't need to be the best thing that you do, but you need to like blocking if you want to play wide receiver. What do you see out of Osani Gayles, 4-star out of IMG Academy?
Yeah, stole my thunder there. I thought you were going to let me talk about the blocking myself because that jumped out at me just as much. It looks like that's what we needed, right? That's what Alabama needed on this team. Everything you said, sealing guys off, and it really was a significant portion of his tape that was devoted to him blocking. I'm watching the catches. I'm like, yeah, this looks nice. This looks good. This is, quality receiver recruit. And then we get to the block and it's glued to the screen and very, very needed for this team.
A little bigger than Lazier Brooks. I don't think he's as quick as Lazier is, but I think the straight line speed that you see now it's against high schoolers, so you want to get a better comparison of that once he gets onto a college campus. But I do think his straight line speed is extremely attractive and it is extremely valuable. Perhaps he can work on a little quicker feet for sure. But it's very clear that at least at IMG, they were let's get him down the field or let's get him into open space. I think 3 or 4 of those highlights were that little reverse flip where they were end arounding and he was taking the end around, as a rushing carry just to get him in open space and to get him running straight, trying to beat other teams with angles. So I see an elite straight line runner, but I'm not sure if he's that polished as a wide receiver.
Plenty of time for polish to come on for a recruit like this. I'd say something to be excited about, something to have and that we know Alabama now has in its back pocket a few years down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. So Osani Gayles commits to Alabama over the weekend. And Theo, you talked about it last week about the not panicking, the rise is coming, and boom, you get a 4-star added to the class. Does this insulate you into your opinion that the rise is coming, or how did that impact your perception of the Kalen DeBoer recruiting job?
Nothing has impacted my perception because my perception's never really changed. I told the guys, July 8th, we're still over a week from that date, is when I'll hit the panic button. Things are already falling into place. I'm just sitting back here while some people are losing their minds and watching the recruits roll in. I think that this team will end up fringe top 25, anywhere from 18 to 30. I'd say that is a down year that a lot of schools would be very okay with having. And I still am really not all that concerned about this class.
Yeah, this weekend certainly helped that because I thought Osani Gayles was kind of up in the air with his commitment. You had a bunch of other schools really trying to get after him, and for Alabama to win that, I think shows that yeah, you're right there. You're right where you want to be in recruiting. You're just trying to make conscious and smart decisions on who you bring in and what their value is and how you allocate your resources. So to get us on a Gayles, I think is a pretty nice sign that Theo is right on the right track, not to worry about the recruiting. And I think July 8th is a good number. Really about the 15th is probably where my drop dead number is as you move into fall camp. But yeah, I think that the uptick is certainly coming, and it is exemplified with Osani Gayles. But really, the uptick got started on Friday with Alabama adding local prospect Jeremiah Beverly. And Alabama has had a lot of success with some Hillcrest High School players over the last, decade and a half. Hillcrest right down the road, 15 minutes away, 6'2", 230 pounds, right out of Hillcrest High School in Tuscaloosa, and three-star recruit. And when I first saw this, Theo, I thought, okay, another three-star recruit, developmental guy. But his tape was impressive to me. His tape was nice to me. He plays basically a 4 technique, head up on the tackle most of the time. So I'm not sure if he's going to give you a lot of defensive tackle 3 technique work. Maybe you could develop into that. That might be an area where he can develop. 6'2" is a little concerning, but he plays with really nice pad level and really nice hands. Let's circle back real quick with RTR. RTR would have definitely preferred Munchin Sales. I think Munchin Sales is still in the mix. I do think Munchin Sales is still in the mix, and if you can get Sales in the mix, five-star wide receiver, I think that single commitment, what that would do for Alabama, for the people, for the fans, you add another 5-star, a 5-star wide receiver, I think it would really, really, really calm a lot of the nerves. But no, I don't think taking Osani Gayles, it means that Munchin Sales is not coming. I think that they're still trying to do their best to recruit Munchin Sales, but you've got Texas and Indiana really, 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 really chasing him hard. So yeah, I do think that Sales is still in the mix right there.
Yeah, this move definitely isn't prohibitive to picking up Sales. I will say maybe I think there is a possibility that maybe you've been priced out of Sales. Maybe that does end up happening. If that does, this could be viewed, I guess, one of 2 ways. 1, okay, here's a receiver who wants to come here, pick up the talent. 2, okay, we're trending the wrong direction for Sales. Let's rebound, add a receiver. And if that was the case, you would probably add another receiver pretty soon, if I had to guess. But and this is pure speculation, I don't think you're out of the running for Sales at all right now.
No, I don't think that you're in the driver's seat, but I think it's still a 3-horse race, 3-4-horse race. Alabama, Texas, Indiana being your top 3 horses in that race, and we'll see how that goes. I think that's probably in the 3rd turn. I don't think we're in the 4th turn yet with Munchin. I don't think you circled 3rd base yet with Munchin Sales' recruitment. I think he's still got another while to stretch this thing out. I mean, didn't he say in the summer, don't contact me about recruiting and only contact me about my high school team? I'm focused on my – I think that I think he's got a good idea of what his top three, which he does, and he's sitting on it, ruminating for a little bit. And as he gets deeper into the high school season, he'll be. I think he is when he's going to make his decision.
Yeah, he'll be one of the later guys to commit from everything we've heard.
All right, so back to Jeremy Beverly. Jeremy Beverly gets added to the class from Hillcrest High School. All right, so he's a little undersized at 6'2". We see that 6'2", 230, but I think his tape shows that he plays with excellent hands. I think that he can work on his pad level. He's got a junior highlight tape on his huddle that is 6 minutes long, and I do think that there are things that he needs to work on, and that's pretty evident on tape. But there's things on this tape that I think are really, really attractive to me. First, I think he plays with violent hands. I think when he gets his hands on these offensive linemen, he's moving them off of he's moving them off the spot. He's getting into them and extending, and is able to shed blockers pretty well. The big thing that I don't love about him, technique wise, is he pops out of his stance too quickly. He pops out too high out of his stance too quickly. He's got a really nice start. He starts in that nice track stance where all in that 4-point stance, he's ready to explode, but he gets too high too quickly instead of driving low off the ball. But once he gets his hands into some of these offensive linemen, he's been able to, extend and shuck them. I see a defensive lineman, everything that we talked about with all these 3 stars, physical traits you like. And I think heavy hands for Jeremiah Beverly is something that you like. You're hoping that he adds, 2-3 more inches in height and length. He's a rising senior, so not quite done growing. Hoping he gets another inch or 3 in length, and then adds another 15 to 20 pounds in muscle. If he's going to play a real defensive line for Alabama, he needs to be more than 240. He needs to be closer to that 280. But they'll get him there with the strength and conditioning staff in Tuscaloosa. I think this is another 3-star high upside. We like this guy. Probably didn't cost us that much money. Nice depth piece as we look at this defensive line.
Yeah, I agree. Never going to complain about a Hillcrest guy coming to Tuscaloosa. We love having the local people. I'll have to go over to Hillcrest, speak to him. Once I'm back in Tuscaloosa, maybe do a story on the commit. So I'd say it's a good move.
Yeah, I think it is too. Good morning, Christy. Appreciate you watching the show. Appreciate you commenting in, and Willie Smith as well. A bunch of people on Facebook commenting this morning. We appreciate everybody joining us and watching us as we talk a little Alabama recruiting. So Alabama adds these 2 guys, and we just sort of mentioned it in the last little piece there. But Alabama's up to 50 overall in the recruiting rankings. You were at 63, 62, 61 going into the weekend before you got Jeremiah Beverly and Osani Gayles. So look, 2 commits and you jump up 10 spots. Coach DeBoer indicated it's going to be a smaller class. You're at 13 right now. I would say 20 is probably the number. 20 guys, maybe even a little lower, 19, 18 guys. So there's not going to be too much more. Can you get to that fringe top 25 if you're only adding 6 or 7 more players in this class?
If Sales is one of them, that certainly helps the case there. Yeah, it'll be close. First of all, Joe, do you agree with my assessment that fringe 25, really, I guess we can stretch it to top 30? That is a barometer for success at this point. What do you think?
I don't think that that's necessarily successful. I think that the success of this class, honestly, Theo, I think the success of this class is going to be decided in the transfer portal next spring. If you come up with a top 30 class or a top 25 class right now, okay, that's going to make people real upset, and that's going to make people real concerned. And I think they're right to be concerned. If you don't retain all the players that you've been talking about, you've said this is our strategy. Okay, this is our strategy. Look at the last couple of classes. We've recruited really well. We want to retain really well. I think it's a successful strategy if you retain the Lussier Brooks, EJ Crowell, just pick your favorite freshman and junior, your Keelan Russell. You got to retain these guys, Dijon Lee, all right? You've got to keep them on campus. And I think if you do keep them, then yes, top 25, top 30, if you're at a 26, 27 recruiting class, I think you could reasonably sell me that, yeah, Alabama, they're believing in their vision. They've got their plan and they executed it well. Now, if you go with a 2025 fringe top 25 class and you lose 5 starters, 3 starters, 2 stars. You lose, I don't know what the right number is, but you lose a handful of starters to the transfer portal based on money issues or other teams tampering, then I'm going to be really, really concerned. Because if you lose Jackson Lloyd, if you lose Michael Carroll, all it's going to take is losing a couple of these linemen, and that's going to freak me out really, really bad. Because I mean, I know we like Ty Haywood, but he barely played for Michigan last season. And so if you were talking about the recruiting class and you're thinking about, what does it need to be? I think it's a 2-part conversation as Ray Melton jumps in. Roll Tide to you. Thanks for watching. I think it's a 2-part conversation of both getting the right freshman in and retaining the class. And so, like, if you do get the right freshman in and you say, okay, we spent right at our budget, we met our budget, we maximized our dollars with the freshman class, right? Elijah Haven cost us whatever it cost us. Everybody else we like for one reason or another. We're good with it. Our budget is set. We didn't go over budget. And then you don't – I mean, it's going to be detrimental to lose a Dijon Lee when you're already losing Xavier Brown and when you're already going to be losing Keon Sabb and Bray Hubbard. You cannot be losing guys like – I think Xavier Mincy becomes just as important to retain because of how long he's been in the system already and probably what your plans are for him, not in 26, but in 27. And so you ask what success is, and I do think you said your perception, your assessment of top 25. I do think that's about right, because if you remember a couple of weeks ago, I thought, they'll get to the top 15. Well, that's made me concerned right now. I think moving it back to 25 is probably about right, based on the last couple of weeks of just kind of what's going on in recruiting. But then to call that successful is, I think, premature, because you want to know who's on the roster and how it impacts the real roster in 2027. If you're turning to these guys who are 3 stars that you're loading up the class of 2027 with, and you're saying, hey guys, we have to lean on you. You guys have to be jump right in as freshmen and contribute because we've lost so much in the portal or to attrition, I think that becomes extremely, extremely concerning. So it all depends on what happens in the portal in the spring.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair way of looking at it. And it won't change the overreactions we get, but no, I think that's a very fair, nuanced take. And yeah, I mean, this comment right here, which is definitely having a smaller class, but what I don't understand is why can't the quality of the class be better? You would think only signing a few guys will open up more funds to spend. Yeah, that seems to be a sticking point for a lot of people, and I certainly understand why. I mean, we got to remember that we are still battling. Like, it's still normal recruiting, right? Just because you're signing less guys doesn't mean you're able to sign the exact crop of guys you want, right? You're still competing for certain players. You're still going to have players that you want to bring in. Hypothetically, sales being one of them, where you want to bring them in, you're just not able to financially, choose another school, etc. You still are, like, the money thing, we've talked about it so much with the portal, right? Moneyball approach, trying to be smart, be very particular, intentional about who you choose to invest in. You're still battling all these things. We also know that recruiting rankings have always been iffy. We know that 3 stars, perfect example being Brooks, have overperformed for this team in the past. So for me, it's an interesting balance of wanting to react to the rankings and how the professionals have set the class, but then also knowing that recruiting is such an imperfect science and so much is up in the air and so much we won't know for years. Like, Joe, you talk about, yeah, we won't know the success of the class until the next portal class. That's partly true, but we also won't know how good the actual players are for 3 years, for 4 years. Elijah Haven, yeah, you're the number one QB in the country. There have been number one QBs in the country who've been world breakers. There have been number one QBs in the country who've never amounted to anything. Like, we just frankly do not really know right now.
Well, I think that RGR 7291 brings up exactly a great point and what a lot of people are concerned with. But you look at the class and you look at who's being brought in, and it's like, well, are you really going to spend a lot of money on a running back, on a quality running back, when you've already the last two classes, AK Deer and EJ Crowell? Now, you go back to the Munch and Sales comment. I think you're in play with Munch and Sales because whose money is Munch and Sales getting? He's getting the Ryan Williams. Ryan's going out of the class. Ryan is, I've played 3 years. I'm going to the NFL. Please have a great season. I hope he has a great year and first-round pick and lots of money. Rah, rah, rah. Great. So that money, the Ryan Williams money, is opening up, right? I think that this staff has a large chunk of resources or money allocated to the quarterback position just as a whole, whether you're the starter or the backup, and you see that in all these quarterbacks that they have brought in. And I think that they have basically said, well, here's what we're paying starting wide receivers. Here's what we're paying backups. And here's what the trajectory. Oh, you're a freshman. You might be starting. Here's what your NIL valuation. Like with these, I think with a lot of these 3 stars that you already have right now, I mean, they're probably getting an NIL commitment, but it ain't nothing that Ryan Williams got. It's nothing that EJ Crowell got to early classify. Like, I think if you talk to these 3 stars that have committed, they would say, yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm getting some NIL. I'm getting compensated, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think they're getting compensated nearly like some of these really top end players are. And so it becomes a matter of being strategic with your money and your resources. And I do understand wanting higher quality players if you're taking fewer. But I think that look, if you're taking a bunch of 5 stars, this class would be a class of what, 4? four players, and that would really upset people. I think you'd much rather have a class of 20 players that are value players that you think you can get some out of, maybe if you develop them, if you believe in your coaching staff, rather than, hey, these 4 studs are the class. They better be it, right?
Yeah, you already do a version of that if you do bring in Sales, right? If Sales and Haven are 2 of your players, and those are going to be 2 very, very expensive players, and there's a lot riding on the success of those players. And you've got a healthy balance right now of this hypothetical. You get Sales of the elite talent with the, look, we have some volume, we have some future depth, we have guys who may very well break out to that next level. So I know I keep going back to this point, but I'm not super concerned with this class right now. And I think we've done a good job over the past 25 minutes outlining the reasons why.
Absolutely. And so, Theo, let's call the program right there, just because you've got a busy day and a big day of knockout rounds, and I'm going to be writing some things for BamaCentral and for the Nashville Predators on SI. So it's going to be a fun Monday. Make sure you follow Theo Fernandez at Theo Fernandez _. We'll keep talking about all the recruiting as more commits happen. I'm going to reach out to our recruiting writer, Wesley, and see if he wants to join us to get his perspective, because he's talking to these guys. He's talking to these kids and these recruits. So we're going to try to get him on this week. We're going to start reaching out to some of these opposing writers. Let's see if we can get a pirate writer to tell us about ECU. Apparently, Coach DeBoer said one of the most dangerous veteran teams that we'll see on the schedule. So we'll talk about that the rest of the week. Follow Theo Fernandez at Theo Fernandez _. Myself at Joe Gaither 6. BamaCentral at BamaCentral.com. You can find the show on Apple Podcast, Amazon, Spotify. We'd appreciate you if you checked out Purple Turtle Roofing at roofturtle.com, or checked out our friend Derek Daniel, State Farm Insurance, at 205-758-3391. It's great. It's a great Monday. It's going to be a great week, and we will talk to you again on Tuesday right here on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com.